Good morning, this is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
Our hearts are heavy in the KELOLAND newsroom as we mourn the loss of longtime anchor Doug Lund. He died Tuesday night at the age of 78 after battling cancer.
Back in 2006, we brought you this KELOLAND news special titled Doug Lund, 32 Years at Large. As we remember Doug and highlight his legacy, we're looking back at that special.
I remember a hot summer afternoon back in 1953. I was 7 years old, and my dad had taken me downtown to the Volga hardware store. There, a large crowd had gathered around the front display window to see the first television set in town. From that time on, television became a part of our lives.
You can watch that special in its entirety on KELOLAND.com.
After hearing the news of Doug's passing, KELOLAND's Tom Hansen reached out to Lund's former co-anchor and friend Steve Hemingson to speak about their time together. Hemingson said, quote, "They were a lot like good cop and bad cop, and Lund was the good cop." On Wednesday, Hemingson spoke with Tom about their friendship and partnership on the air.
We were a team that really, I don't think anybody thought would happen. They put us together and it worked.
What made it work, Steve?
I don't know, Kello gave us a free rein. I think, Doug and I had different personalities. We were very good friends. But, we kind of came from different ends of the block, although we did have some similar upbringings and both rural. Neither one of us had any college. Well, I think he had like 6 weeks at SDSU or something. But I don't know. We had, I guess, similar backgrounds. We both came from scratch and wound up at Kello somehow. Why it worked, I don't know. I think if they could figure out why it worked, we would both be very rich.
The two worked together from 1975 until 2000 when Hemingson retired. Hemingson says he knew his friend was in hospice care, but his death still comes as a shock.
The Flandreau Santee Sioux tribe has placed a temporary ban on Governor Gnome. It is the 8th tribe to officially ban Gnome from its land. It comes after negative comments she made about Native children.
I believe that she needs to come up with more educated responses. They were hurtful to umbrella all tribes under the statements that she's making. She's speaking illy of our children, and it's really, really offensive to classify everybody like that.
The ban is temporary, and given a clarification of her comments and an apology, the tribe would be open to lifting the ban. Now let's get a check on our weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. A little time left before the rain starts again, Brian.
Yeah, that rain chance is coming back. And in fact, some of the rain chances are pretty good and featuring some severe weather. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but probably part of the weather discussion. Here's the latest from the Storm Prediction Center, and you can see that slight risk extends really from southern North Dakota all the way down the James Valley, from Aberdeen to Huron to Yankton, westward to Winter, and in fact even an enhanced risk across Nebraska into southwest Iowa again. They haven't been getting much of a break at all. Rough spring so far. We'll keep an eye on all of this here later today. 78 Sioux Falls for an afternoon high. We're going to warm up to 80 in Pierre. Again, those storm chances will start in the north central. I think that area along the North Dakota border first, and then we'll unzip down the line here this evening. We're going to look at this and have all the details on Futurecast in just a moment.
Thank you, Brian. Fall's Art Market is set to make its return to Bronze Age art casting in Sioux Falls. The outdoor art market is this Saturday at the Foundry and will include dozens of artists showcasing a variety of mediums. The event typically happens monthly, May through August, but this year it's one and done.
It takes a lot of work to run an event, as other event planners know, and we thought this has always been one of our most popular shows. We thought we'd just start the summer season off, have all of our artists here, and then there's so many other wonderful art events that people can participate now from when we started 7 years ago.
The Falls Art Market runs from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Saturday at Bronze Age, which is located just east of Falls Park.
Seniors across KELOLAND are saying goodbye to high school and looking ahead to the future, including one Washington High School graduate who is joining the Ivy League world. Siane Reda is headed to Harvard in the fall to study neuroscience, Spanish, and math. She says her parents are her biggest role models.
I would say my parents are my biggest inspiration. They came to America from Ethiopia in 1999. Obviously, they had to go through a lot of hard challenges, learning a new language, getting new jobs.
The main reason I want to come is to get high education. And I did not come until 1999, too late for me to go to school, for me and for my wife. And we start to focus on our children. We got 3 children here.
Before heading to Boston, she's taking a trip to Ethiopia with her mom for the summer. To hear more of her family's story, visit this story right here on KELOLAND.com.
The Rapid City Humane Society has been partnering with the Western South Dakota Juvenile Service Center for a few years now. Yesterday, they paired up again, this time for a puppy wash. The goal of the event is to teach kids lessons in teamwork, compassion, and caring for an animal.
Their demeanors change. It gives them an opportunity to be kids again, and also it gives them the ability to earn based on their behavior to come here and work with their animals.
The event also helps the participants learn skills and characteristics all people need.
And that's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, our weather picture today. Well, a couple of things here as we look at our camera. This is as of the 7 o'clock hour in Fort Thompson. Notice those clouds there in the background there. That's a really very typical feature of some mid-level instability. We can already see it visually in central South Dakota. So those are some telltale signs of what's probably coming. We see the Storm Prediction Center has, of course, keyed in on all of this. That's why you're seeing this blanket of yellow there from about Pierre, Mobridge, and then eastward as we go into the late afternoon. Really more this evening is a lot of this activity. And, of course, we trend towards Sioux Falls. I'll stand out of the way. You can see that in Sioux Falls there on the edge of the slight risk zone by, I would say, after 10 o'clock tonight. 10, 11, midnight, that range looks to be more likely. So initially here, you can see a couple of shower chances could pop up in the northeast. This warm front is pushing into North Dakota. There's your weather map at noon. We're into the 70s. We're picking up that wind out of the south. It's going to be stronger, at least 15 to 30 widespread. Now, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, notice what's going on here right north of Aberdeen to Mobridge and then back to the west. These are supercell thunderstorms. These are the kind that can produce some pretty large hail. I would say attendant to that, there could be some damaging wind, and even an isolated tornado threat cannot be ruled out due to the spin on these storms there. Also, the modeling is trying to hint at maybe some storm development between Pierre and Chamberlain by that 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock window. So we'll just kind of continue to monitor those finer details. It looks like eventually we start to erupt more of these thunderstorms on radar through the 7 o'clock, and that line is probably a little more intense down toward the Nebraska border. You keep going south, you're going to run into that enhanced risk into central Nebraska. Now the thinking is these storms will march to the east. There'll be pockets of hail embedded within here. So keep that in mind as we get toward the late evening. We're not out of the woods there for some severe weather. Obviously, one factor that helps us is the overnight. Things tend to stabilize a little bit more, especially in Minnesota. But there'll be some thunderstorms there nevertheless. And that's 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. It all moves east. Behind this, we're going to crank up that northwest wind. There's a high wind watch for Pennington County toward Rapid City. Our forecast is 30 to 50 there, generally speaking, later tonight. And don't forget, too, that 37 in Mobridge. It is chilly in North Dakota tonight after some storms this evening. Then it might snow a little bit up there toward Bismarck. And then, of course, we got to deal with that northwest wind tomorrow. And it's not going to be a warm day. It's going to be plenty cool. A lot of highs will be in the 60s. And I would expect here even a couple more showers could generate in the far north there by Friday evening. That doesn't look to be too widespread, but just want to mention it. Quick update on the hail forecast. That's one feature we've really noticed this morning is coming to life there through this evening. So see that band from Huron down to east of Winter? That's where your hail is probably going to go here tonight. And by midnight, There's some hail around Yankton, Vermilion with some of those storms. So just a little heads up on all of those parameters in the weather. How about the weekend and Memorial Day itself? Well, I think we'll carve out a break in the weather going into Saturday, most of the day. Another system Saturday night into Sunday. A lot of that rain will be focused south of us, but there'll be some of it around. And even into early on Memorial Day, we'll keep a 30% chance of rain. More inclined to move this system out, though, at least the majority of it. And then next week, it should dry out, at least through Tuesday and Wednesday, and try to warm up a little bit better into the upper 70s. Aberdeen, a much cooler day tomorrow with all the wind and highs in the upper 50s, nearing 70 for the weekend. So that's fair. It's a little bit below average, but overall the rain chance is probably best there again by late Sunday. And we'll see how that turns out on Monday. Earlier in the day, probably more so. Pierre and Rapid City, same idea. We see a pretty big drop in the numbers tomorrow. Then we slowly moderate, but we're not going to see an entirely dry weekend. There are some chances of scattered showers and thunderstorms, and both Saturday and Sunday afternoon featuring that in Rapid City. Check out more details. We've got you covered online at KETHLAND.com.